Warning, the following video may contain scenes that offend Italians, Anabaptists, the Barone family, and a single senator from the great state of Texas. Viewer discretion is advised. Hey folks, welcome to the Late Night Snack. I'm your host, Jared Lindy. Let's talk. For years, I've been against the garbage that is cancel culture. You say something either from your past or now, and people online will bully you into either getting fired, or losing brand deals, or even worse. Even if somebody apologizes, it's repentance without forgiveness. Very unchristian thing to do. Happened with Kevin Hart on the Oscars, Gina Carano on Mandalorian, Hartley Sora on The Flash. Because of cancel culture, I refuse to watch those shows. Some people say that it started to culminate around like 2015, 2016, but I've been following cancel culture for years, and I have been tracing it down to one single group. And that group I like to dub the Carbonara Mafia. Let me explain. Ever since the dawn of YouTube, people have been making cooking tutorials on this platform, specifically Italian dishes. And whenever there are Italian dishes, there are Italian people waiting to criticize said dishes. Exhibit A is like half of my family. I don't know if this is sacrilegious or anything, but I believe that some Anabaptists hold to the same standards for baptism the way that Italians have standards for Italian dishes. Think about it. Anabaptists say that you have to be a certain age, be baptized by a certain person using a certain method, and that method better complete you properly or else sometimes it doesn't count. Like there are some people that ask, oh, why not a second baptism? And Italians and fans of Italian dishes feel the same way about certain pasta dishes, mainly carbonara. Go try for yourself right now. Go to any YouTube comment section of a carbonara video that does things a little differently, and you will see a plethora of comments bullying and harassing creators for daring to think outside of the box for a recipe. While Ted Cruz is not either in the Senate or playing for the Utah Jazz, he is out there online called Vincenzo's Plate, where he either makes carbonara in the way that he thinks is the right way, or he reacts to other people's carbonara videos. It's pretty crazy. You know, in most of these cases, I don't even think that they're actually upset. I feel like they need to be upset to somehow prove a point, but I mean, you can say that about any issue online. Anyways, once these mafia people got to some YouTubers, these YouTubers actually were forced to recreate these dishes that they somehow messed up on. They were incentivized to go bigger until you have actors and actresses being fired from roles because they had tweets from years ago that people didn't like. You have well-respected teachers being forced to retire after refusing a medical procedure. And you have CEOs having to step down for having a different political opinion. Very sad stuff. People dismiss the slippery slope argument all the time, even though it's like 99% accurate. It's all horrible, and somebody needs to put these bullies in their place. That's why I'm going to the source of cancel culture and making my own carbonara. It's going to be the best one you've ever had. Coming for you, Italians. During my research on this, I've noticed that Italians didn't even write this recipe down at first, but I mean, it's an Italian recipe, so I kind of understood that. Go watch my video on church cookbooks, and you'll even see that Italians are very secretive about their recipes. It's straight out of an Everybody Loves Raymond episode. Oh, Deborah, you're putting bacon in your carbonara.
Yes, Marie, this is how I make it. Is there a problem with that?
Oh, no, not at all. Very adventurous, dear. Just making stuff up as you go.
Oh, thanks, Marie.
You know, you really shouldn't break the pasta, dear.
Ray?
You know, Ma's got a point, Deb. Wasn't until 1952 when a Chicago journalist actually wrote it down for the first time from a restaurant called Armando's. The first Italian publication in 1954 was completely different, including Gruyere, Swiss cheese, and garlic in their recipe. Since then, Italians have had different variations of the recipe for carbonara, and each region has a different method of doing so. Italian Americans don't even have a set name for this thing. What makes you think that we should have one set recipe for a pasta dish? And side note, gravy is not a word that I would associate with this. I would associate gravy with biscuits, Thanksgiving, Canadian French fries, and for Ed and Eddie fans, buttered toast. So no thank you. Most Italian chefs didn't have a set recipe until like the late 80s or early 90s. But I would not expect anything less from a country that has flopped during not one, but 2 world wars. That's why I'm starting from scratch with what type of pasta you should use. Now, spaghetti, it's a classic, but in my experience for making carbonara, the sauce doesn't adhere to the pasta that well, so we will be discarding it for now. Rigatoni is also a classic for carbonara. It has a nice cylindrical shape to it, and sauce is able to get into the hole easily, but it's also easy to go out, so we will be discarding it for now. That leaves Campanelli, which translates to little bells. I like it because it has a nice bell shape, and sauce is able to easily adhere to the pasta, and it holds on to it. So that's what I like. You can use whatever you want, but for me, Campanelli is best. I usually add more salt than this. However, because we're going to be adding salty things like bacon or other ingredients, we don't need as much. So we're just going to begin cooking our pasta water. The next thing for carbonara to focus on is the cured meat that you're going to use, which Italians either go for guanciale or pancetta if you can't find it. Thing is, I can find neither of them, and when I do find those products, they're pretty dang expensive. You'd be better off investing that money that you would spend in that into either stocks or precious metals, or heck, even a burger from Five Guys. You can get a return on those fries. For me, I'm going with a thick cut bacon. 5 strips to be exact. The bacon is gonna shrink a little bit, so you might want to cut them a little thicker than you think. I'm gonna go with about 1/2 to 1/4 inch, depending on the type of bacon that I have. We're also going to use bacon bits to contrast the flavors. You can use any pan that you like. Me personally, I prefer a stainless steel wok because of the edges. Start in a cold pan and just add a touch of olive oil, because we're going to have a lot more fat from the bacon, which we'll be adding in right now. And turning this on medium-low heat. We're going to stir this around until it's about 3/4 of the way cooked through. After a while, you're going to accumulate quite a bit of bacon fat, so I like to evacuate some of it from the pan because we don't need all of it. You're going to have quite a bit of leftover bacon fat, so I say evacuate it and put it in a container for later use. You could throw it away. I wouldn't be mad, but just disappointed. When it's about 3/4 of the way done, I'm going to add about 1, maybe 2 small cloves of garlic, followed by some bacon bits to contrast the other bacon flavor that we have here. Now, as you can see, the bacon is fully cooked and the garlic is nice and toasted, so I'm just going to kill the heat and set it aside for later use. Now, once this is cooked, the pasta water should be boiling at this time, so we are going to add in about 1/2 pound of our Campanelli pasta. While this is cooking, we can work on the egg mixture. Now, for the egg part, some people only like to use the yolks for extra fat or creaminess. In my opinion, I think that's a little wasteful, so I'm going to use 2 full eggs. The only problem is that the whites have protein, so you're going to need to add more fat. That's why I like to add in more fat in the form of half and half. Homemade preferred, I have a video to explain how to make that. Check this out. That little amount of extra fat will make some Italian chefs say, oh, this is not a carbonara. So we might as well just go all in and add 2 tablespoons of half and half. Now is going to be the time that you add your grated cheese in the form of Parmesan. Now, some people might say, oh, you should buy it in a block, that way you're buying in bulk because it's cheaper. But I don't know, I think that a 5-pound bag of grated Parmesan cheese kind of qualifies as buying in bulk. And finally, you're going to add your black pepper, which you can add as much as you'd like. I'd say that's good enough, and now we're just going to whisk it all together. You're going to mix that to combine to form one thick paste like this. And if it doesn't form like that, you're just going to add a little bit more cheese to thicken it up. I'd say this is good. This is completely optional. I'm just going to evacuate a little less than a cup of pasta water. Once it's done, you're going to kill the heat, and we're going to strain the pasta in a colander. And really quickly, we're going to add the pasta into the bacon mixture and add our cheese mixture. The residual heat of the pasta water is going to be the heat source for the egg. That way it cooks completely, and it'll turn into a cohesive sauce. Should take less than about a couple minutes. Now, if you need to, you can add a little bit of pasta water if it's a little too thick, but to me, this is perfect, so I'm gonna plate this up. Got a plate of carbonara right here. I'm just gonna add a little bit more Parmesan cheese and maybe just a little bit of pepper, but those are completely optional. This looks fantastic, but looks can be deceiving, so let's give it a taste. That is phenomenal. There's a reason why my mom says that this is the best pasta dish that I've ever made. I'd say that that's pretty accurate. You got the creaminess from the cheese and the half and half and the egg and the smokiness from the bacon. You get a little bit of a bite from the pepper and a little bit of the garlic. And I have to say, the Campanelli was a great choice. It holds the sauce perfectly. You have the contrast of the bacon and the bacon bits, which I think is pretty amazing. This is like if bacon mac and cheese were to digivolve, like in the anime Digimon. It's really good stuff. Flavors are perfectly balanced in here. You know, it's weird. We wouldn't have gotten the same results if we were to follow the exact way that everyone else does the recipe. How do I know that? I've tried them. They do not compare to this. So I say stand up to the bullies like the Carbonara Mafia and think for yourself. Who knows? You might be one of those revolutionaries like Martin Luther, Dan Lipinski, or Greg Lundy. You don't know where God will take you. For me, it was just a pasta dish, but who knows what's going to happen. Well, that's all time we have for tonight, folks. Until next time, I'm Jared Lundy with Late Night Snack. Good night.
Don't forget to share, comment, and like this YouTube video. And make sure you're subscribed to Jared Lundy Show.